Yes, guys, welcome to Chasing Green Arrows. We are back on Tuesday to preview all of the Gameweek 8 fixtures. I'm Janny and I'm joined by regular co-host Mr. Dean Jones. And OMG, I've just read your tweet. Explain.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, hello everyone. I have just tweeted as to what has happened with my fantasy team. So, long story short, my 6-year-old son has made 3 transfers on my FPL team. And I didn't find out until he did it Saturday night. I didn't see it until Sunday afternoon.
So after the deadline, he did it?
Yeah, so it was like basically the games had all happened on Saturday because obviously I'm behind here. Right. So, and he'd heard me complaining during the day, and I'd been sat on the couch like looking at my team. I was like, oh my god, it's such a rubbish week. And he'd watched a lot of football with me, so he'd heard all the stuff that I'd been saying and during the games when I was watching them and stuff. And he sat there and he'd like, he usually picks my phone up and just either goes on YouTube or he plays Roblox. But I'd obviously left the FPL app open. Oh. He last season he had a team, so he knows how the app works because he used to do his on the way to Fulham matches. He would always change his team. And anyway, some people will know about this, by the way, because I put it in the Elite Chasers group that we've got. So if you're a member, you already know about this. Anyway, so yeah, Sunday afternoon, I open up to look at my team and see what team I might pick for the following week, and I was like, this isn't my team.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Someone else logged into my app.
He made 3 transfers. But do you know what?
One of them were they all right? I mean, at least it wasn't your 3-year-old.
It's not. He's taken out Saka.
Yeah, I like that move.
Taken out Irogbunam.
Fine.
He's taken out Eze. This was before Eze played last night. So he took those 3 out. He brought in Dibbling, Buonanotte, and Cole Palmer.
Oh, mate, he knows what he's doing.
It's not too bad, is it?
I mean, Eze could have got a hat-trick last night, and then you would have gone, what have I done? I've just sold him.
It's cost me -4 because I had 2 free transfers.
That's good. Okay, I would assume that was a -8. Okay.
So it was only a -4.
It's improved your bench, which needed doing.
It's actually relieved quite a bit of stress because I can't do anything now for this game week.
Yeah,
and I was like, what's my team going to be? And my midfield for this week is Salah, Buonanotte at home to Forest, Rodgers home to Bournemouth, and then Palmer home to Newcastle.
Nice.
I'm like, that's fine. Dibbling Man City away. You could be a sub now. But I'm like, yeah, okay. Okay.
And on Fridays, when we stream on Friday lunchtime, we usually stream on a Friday lunchtime. We're like, we might do this. Dean can now actually say, I'm locked in.
I'm locked in. Like, I'm not doing anything else. Like, someone just said, you got a wild card. Like, no, like my team's actually not bad. Like, it's looking all right. So it's very weird feeling. It's like having someone mess with your FPL team is something that is quite personal.
It's so personal. I live it. Like, it's so personal. It makes me want to put a block on my access to the app.
It's like you need a passcode to actually go through with the transfer.
Yeah, double authentication thing.
Like, but luckily, he knows his ball. Actually, it's funny because on Saturday he played a game as well, and he won 9-0 and scored all 9.
No, he didn't.
He did.
Does he? He plays up front, but still, like
So he had trust his ball knowledge at this point, right? I think he's better than me. I think he knows more than me.
Makes sense why having such a good season, as Lewis says. I mean, Cole Palmer, one of those transfers in, is a good topic of conversation, I think, because he's around 50% owned. If he had scored against Liverpool, the world and their dog would be transferring him in because the entry point, as Big Man would say, like Newcastle is a good fixture at home, I think, for a goal or two, especially for Chelsea. And then Man United away is a fine fixture. Then it's Arsenal. So you could argue the next 3 are okay, mixed bag. But then from 12, the fixtures are insane. Everyone's going to have Cole Palmer from 12. But my plan was always to get him for this week, game week 9. But now I've got this conundrum of, I'm selling Saka and I'm getting Palmer. Or do I just revert to actually, I'm going to go Son instead because Son was super impressive. So how do we rate Son and Palmer? Like, ideally, I want them both. But let's talk about them both individually and then as a duo as well.
Yeah. Son has come back into the team looking like a marvel. Like, I was amazed by how sharp he looked, how much he improved everything about Tottenham. But definitely, obviously, had the assist wiped from him in the end. But he just gave you a lot of belief in terms of what you've got coming up. So the next fixtures for Tottenham: Palace, Villa, Ipswich. Like that reads nice. Definitely is alluring. And Cole Palmer, yeah, pretty on paper tricky games: Newcastle, Man United, Arsenal. But I mean, I've obviously got no decision to make around this now. I still think I probably would have gone Palmer.
Yeah,
it's an interview.
That was always my plan.
I love it. Anytime he gets interviewed, I'm just like, he just doesn't care about.
You want him more.
Yeah, you want him more. The more you see of this guy, you're more unique. Just like, he just doesn't care who he's playing against at all. He expects to score every single game. He almost or does score every single game. And so I think I'd still go Cole Palmer, even though his fixtures are harder. But it's a tough call for sure.
It is, because Son played 69 minutes. He had a goal. He nearly had the assist. Debacle. But he also hit the post, and he also had another couple of chances. And he only played 69 minutes because it was his first game back. Like, you've got to think you're going to get usually 80 plus from Son. And the fixtures, I mean, they have Ipswich at home in a couple of weeks. That's a 5-0. And Son can be a bit of a bully. Like, Son loves playing the weaker teams. Like, even against Everton game week 2, he got the brace. I might go Son and then book in a transfer. Just literally Son for 3 weeks and then Palmer in game week 12. Same spot. But yeah, I want them both. There's a poll running. Get voting, guys. Who would you rather have, Son or Palmer, if you were buying one this week? Like, let's say you're selling Saka, and I think a lot are. Breaking news, as of half an hour ago, he's not in the Arsenal squad, Saka. There's also news that today that Pep has said De Bruyne's not ready, and we've seen John Duran starting. What do you make of that, Dean?
Yeah, I'm pleased for him, to be honest. I want to see how he does from the start. Yeah. I honestly thought that might happen at the weekend against Fulham. So, interesting one. Michael says Arteta in his pre-match interview does not sound confident on Saka. Do you know what? One of the reasons I'm glad that Dylan has sold Saka is because I'm fed up with Arteta. I don't want any Arsenal players anymore. Arteta is driving me mad with the way he talks about people. Remember I told you I've got a friend who works for Arsenal. Yeah. So I did actually message him ahead of that game. I was like, mate, this is purely for my FPL. I'm not writing it. I'm not tweeting it. What's your hunch on Saka for Bournemouth? And he was like, hard to say, mate. I do think there's a chance he's on the bench. It's like, not even there, mate.
Yeah.
Like, what? How's this happened? I was a bit annoyed about that. Brian says Palmer v Son question depends on if you're bringing Salah in game week 10. I've already got Salah, but for you, would that have any influence on whether you were going to bring Salah in game week 10, or are you not bring him into the party?
It's just a different conversation for me, because Palmer and Son are like 10 or 9.8 and 10.8 or whatever they are. You've got to find an extra 3 million. Like, I can't. Like, Saka, even if Foden now, he's dropped a lot, but Saka, Foden, Palmer, like, there's not much between them all. Son. But Salah's like just a different price band. Like Haaland, he's out on it by himself in midfield, and it's major surgery. It's not just that one swap. So I think I'm probably can't get there. You can't have them all.
Yeah, I was impressed with Salah at the weekend.
So good, wasn't he? Since the hair transplant, he's looking amazing. He's looking really good. he's looking really good. Yeah, he's flying. He's flying. Like, I think for Salah, for me, what's been really impressive of late, and I probably go after the last year or two, like I think Klopp's last year as well, is the creative element of his game. Like, he used to just be a shot monster and a goal monster, but now like it's the creativity, the chances created, the assist threat, and we saw that, didn't we, with that assist at the weekend?
Yeah, I have to admit, last week I had a bit of a moment where I thought, do I really want Salah this season? Like, he's not the same. What do I do? And then I saw that game. I was like, yeah, I'll keep him for the season. I actually think I'm just going to stick with Salah all season long because I think people are going to be too scared to keep going there all the time. He's 38% now selected. And he's not somebody, like you say, you can just buy. So once the drop-off comes, it's not coming back really until people wildcard. Most people have wildcarded first time around. So even when I wildcard, I think I'll probably keep Salah. And it's one of the reasons it makes it wildcarding a bit weird for me because I've got Salah and I've got Haaland. And so don't really know what else. I've got Palmer at the moment, got Solanke. Don't really know what else I want or need. So I might sell my wild card to someone. I think you should be able to do that for like real money. I think I should be able to like sell my wild card to someone who needs it.
Or can I get like an extra? I won't use my wild card, but I want an extra 20 points.
Yeah, exactly. Points. Trade in your wild card. Yeah, exactly.
Guys, let us know a number in the chat. Just put a number in the chat of how many points you would trade your, let's say, wild card 2 for later in the season. I think I would need at least double digit. I think I'd need like, I don't know, 15 points. But yeah, write a number in the chat.
That'd be a really good feature. Like you can like cash in your wild card. You don't get to use it. You get 15 or 20 points or something.
Maybe all your chips. Like I think I'd want like, I don't know, 10 for bench boost, maybe 12 or 14 for free hit. Wildcard would definitely be the highest value.
We're onto something here, mate. Premier League, sign us up. 50 points, says Leeds, mate. Yeah, I'd be all over it for 50 points. Well, everyone would do it, wouldn't they?
Oh, Brian makes a good point. Valued more than 5 free transfers, 25 points minimum. Is it valued more than 5? I don't know. Yeah, maybe I've gone too conservative there with 15. I guess I've not thought about it. I was caught off guard. Maybe it's like 20,
there probably is some science behind how you would actually work it out. Our producer says maybe that could be the mystery chip. What is the mystery chip? What's going on?
That's a great shout from our producer. We were told when the game came out, we would know before. We were told it will be out in January and we'll know before that. So I always thought, they're not going to tell us till December. And I expect they've used a challenge game, a game which barely anyone's playing by all accounts. Yeah, and it's different rules every week. But I think they've used the challenge game to sample a few things, like what people like and don't like. And that could maybe have been the reason why the chip hasn't come out yet, because they want it to be popular. But do you remember when we played the Euros game? There was, I think there is in the UEFA game a limitless chip where it's unlimited spend. So it's a free hit, but with unlimited value.
Limitless is good, yeah.
I think it'll be like Limitless, which I nearly played in the Champions League game tonight. I've captained Theo Hernandez, by the way, who I've just checked is on 6 ball recoveries, which is an extra 2 points. For ball recoveries, scoring on the UEFA game. But yeah, I think it might be something like that. I mean, what would you go with?
I do like Limitless. I think that's good. What else could you put? I'm trying to think of something that's actually relevant to the real game, like a VAR check, and they actually do a real-time review of your team and how many points you actually deserved. Like, it doesn't matter how many points you actually got that week.
Your expected data.
Your
like
expected.
XG.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you get a VAR review card. That'll be fun.
You just pick like players like Darwin and Nico Jackson for all the XG, but none of the
none of the actual output. Yeah. Nico Jackson looking good this season, mate. You haven't heard me diss him at all because
he's worked on that finishing, hasn't he?
Mate, he's got a lot better. I don't have really much bad to say about him. Very impressed with how he's continued to improve. Chelsea have actually been really good apart from defensively. So, lots of room for optimism, mate. Mark says no minus points for red and yellow cards for 1 week. That's quite a good one. Bring back a used chip, says Abby. Yeah, that'd be that's a good one. What else have we got here?
Bring back a used chip. Yeah, that's quite cool. Oh, I didn't realise Milan were 3-1 up. Christ, I thought I saw it at half-time at 1-0. Oh, so they've conceded. How did Club Brugge score?
Oh, that's disappointing, mate. That is disappointing.
And Theo, no goal involvements in the 3 goals, which is pretty rare for him. We're going to, look, in today's show, we're going to review our teams. We're going to take questions. We're going to have a bit of an eye test report and mention some of the big standout players. We've mentioned Palmer. We've mentioned Son. 65% of you would go Palmer over Son. That's really interesting. I thought off the back of what we saw with Son, it might be slightly higher. Where shall we start, Dean, in terms of headlines? I think Man City and another Haaland blank is a huge headline. 3 weeks in a row now.
I hope people jump off him. I hope. I won't be. I'm not going to waver on this one at all. He's Erling Haaland. The goals will come, and suddenly we'll have another burst where he'll score 8 goals across 3 game weeks. And if you haven't got him, you're dead, basically. It's a shame that you have him, so much of your team, your funds tied up in him, because it's 15.4 million now to buy Haaland.
Wow.
So it's like, if you do go off him, you can't really go back to him, right? Like, until the wild card comes back around. So that's going to be difficult. 9 goals in 4 games with KDB, 1 goal in 4 without KDB.
That is an interesting one. And they are missing him. They're missing Rodri clearly, but KDB too.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to see what happens once we get to the new year with Man City. See if Foden's picked up form. Oscar Bob will be back in the mix. There's a lot to happen. Obviously, Pep's future. I think Pep's future will be sorted out in the next month. Right. I think that my hunch is that Haaland ends up signing a new contract this season. So there's a lot to happen. Why doesn't Pep start Foden?
I've just bought him. I bought Foden because I was like, he's absolutely nailed this week because of De Bruyne's injury, and now he's fit. But clearly, not enough in the mainstream media has been made about the fact that Foden clearly isn't like.
I think people are trying to figure it out. I don't think anyone's getting a good steer on what's happening. I think until someone's got the actual story of what's going on here, I think people are just kind of ignoring it. And it's like,
you hinted at a story months ago.
Yeah, it's
something wasn't right, didn't you? At the start of the season, I remember you saying, being like, we keep being told that he's like going to be fit and available, and he just wasn't even making squads. We know he had the illness, but it was a while. It took him ages to get back in the team.
Exactly, but we don't know what the actual story is. I genuinely don't know it. So,
do you have a hunch?
Not really. No, I've tried. Even the people that are usually quite good, that I get stories from about Man City, aren't saying anything about it.
Yeah,
they're saying nothing. They won't even. I texted him, this guy, last week or the week before about Foden. He didn't even reply. I was like, he always replies. Why is he not even giving me a response on this one?
Yeah.
So it does feel a bit weird. I mean, I'll be honest. Sean says City in general just feel off this season. I still think they're going to win it quite easily. I just got this feeling. Sorry, there's a huge truck going past my house. But yeah, I've just got a feeling. The only thing that would concern me really about Man City, I know they're conceding too many goals, but Kovacic, Gundogan isn't really okay as a partnership that goes to win the league. So I think we'll see Mateus Nunes get a chance.
Someone a bit more dynamic,
yeah. Rico Lewis has gone off the boil a little bit. I'll be honest. I've got a feeling he comes out of this team soon.
Yeah, but Walker's injured. Walker's. To see the thing today about Walker, he's out for a few games.
What about Akanji?
Akanji can play right back. You're right, and he does love Akanji. Akanji's usually in the 11 somewhere.
So I wonder if at some point soon we see Akanji at right back. And I hope not, because I obviously need Rico Lewis to be playing.
He can also step into midfield, Akanji. If you do want to play him at right back and ask him to invert, you could ask Akanji to do that.
Yeah, it's the kind of go-to. Punter says, do you think Doku is a good buy? I don't, because I don't know when he's going to play, and that's the biggest problem with Doku. If you could tell me he was going to get a run of games, I'd be tempted to back him.
Same with Savio. I'd be the same with Savio. I'd be like,
yeah, who's going to play?
Guarantee starts, but they'll probably both play in the Champions League and tomorrow, and then you question whether or not they play in the league. I mean, one guy that always seems to get a game is Bernardo Silva, but he's not an FPL option. He never has been really. And Gundogan's a favourite. That midfield three of Gundogan, Bernardo Silva, and Kovacic isn't right. To not start Foden at the weekend, I was flabbergasted. I'm
surprised. Yeah. I mean, what do you think happens against Southampton this weekend? I mean, Southampton, obviously, where they are mentally, who knows after what they've just been through at the weekend. Russell Martin, just hanging him out to dry, basically. They don't listen to me. I don't know what to do with them if they're going to act like that on the pitch. Pretty much what he said. They're going down. You can't get around the fact that, last season in the Championship, Southampton started badly and then they went on an incredible run to make it to the playoffs. You just can't produce that sort of turnaround in the Premier League, obviously. So it's just not feasible that they can recover from this, as far as I can see.
They're the weakest, aren't they?
think
the
so.
weakest.
I think
they're
this
the
is a
weakest.
5-0. I think we're looking at a 5-0.
I do. That's why I bought Foden. Like, I need Foden to start because whether he's playing well or whether he plays on the right or central or on the left, he's going to get points for Southampton. Of course he is.
Would you triple
He
captain
just needs
Haaland?
the minutes. I don't think I can. No, I know. I get it, and those that do, fair play. You will just wait for a double, and yeah, there's going to be fewer doubles, but I'd rather go triple captain on a doubler. Let's say it's I don't know, Jared Bowen, who's got let's say there's one random double small game week where West Ham and Bournemouth both get the double. I'd genuinely probably punt on a Bowen double over a Haaland single. I just like the 180 minutes, you know.
I just think a few games without a goal, is he just loading them up? Is he going to bang in 5 against Southampton?
Does he start tomorrow? Like, it's a gimme at home, but Pep talks about momentum a lot. I think he probably still does start tomorrow.
He probably will. I'd have thought so. I mean, I do think he'll tinker with the lineup, but I think that position is one I don't really know what he would do there. Like, there's just not the options that he once had. It's not like Alvarez can play there.
Yeah.
Obviously, it should be a straightforward win for them. But I can't see, unless he was to play like, I don't know, Foden as the 9.
Gundogan false 9. He's done that in years gone by.
Done it before, but at the moment he can't do that because he ain't got any central midfielders. So he's got to play Gundogan in midfield. So
yeah, you go from DM to number 9 in like 2 games. That'd be funny. I mean, we should just touch on Wolves quickly because a few in the chat did mention Wolves. They do look good, and their fixtures now are going to be amazing. Like the Wolves' start to the season has been impossible for them. It was the worst run of games, but now they are about to go on the best FPL fixture list you could ask for the next 10, 12 game weeks, whatever it is. 8 Norries 4.4. Strand Larsen's got good fixtures. Like Wolves here, because Man City are in there game week 8, it means they're further down ticket. But take Man City out, and it's Brighton, Crystal Palace, Southampton, and then it's honestly a sea of
well, I got Fulham the week after that, so they'll lose that one, and then it's back to winning ways against Bournemouth. Wolves have been, I've said all season, I like the way that Wolves play. I think that Gary Neal is a good coach. They having troubles defensively, sure. I can't deny that. But I think they're a good team.
Yeah, they are.
But I also think Brighton will beat them. That's the problem. Like, Brighton are really good. And Brighton aren't going to want to mess up a game like that because they've got themselves into a really strong position. Brighton are 5th in the table at the moment. And at home, they're one of the better teams too. They're 6th in
the fact they're at home.
Yeah, they're 6th in that table. Wolves are like the 3rd worst team away from home. They've only got 1 point from 4 games on the road so far, Wolves. So I actually can't back them. I back them against Crystal Palace the following game. No problem with that. Palace and Southampton, fine. Wolves are good for those, but Brighton away, I just can't have it.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Interesting that Brighton weren't actually that good against Newcastle, I found. Like, I know they won. Danny Welbeck.
Well, they just made the most of one moment, didn't they?
It was all
the exact thing that Newcastle couldn't do. I think that Alex Isak is going to turn a corner soon. It's a weird season for him, a really weird season for Alex Isak. But it's really important one for him too. Yeah, I just think Isak, like, I watched the whole of that game, and Isak was like always this far away. Like
the 1-on-1.
There's a 1-on-1. There's an air shot where he just somehow misses it. There's just these tiny moments. There was one where I can't remember who should have played him in. It might have been Gimeres. Like, he was through and the ball didn't come. And he's like, why did that pass not go? And this has happened 4, 5, 6 times across this season already when Isak has made an amazing run and the ball just hasn't been played as it should have. So he'll be getting a little bit frustrated, I think. If Newcastle don't qualify for Europe this season, Alex Isak will leave and he'll go somewhere else for next season, I think. But I've just got a feeling if I was to like really mess around with my team, like Dylan has messed around with my team, I'd put Alex Isak in soon, just for like a massive punt, because I just got this feeling that something's gonna turn for him and nobody will own him. I don't know how what Alex Isak is owned at the moment, but it can't be high. Have a quick look actually in a second when I can. just to see what he's on, because
it's got to be low. He started the season really high on ownership.
Exactly. Start the season so high. Everyone wanted him because of what he'd done before. He's 12% owned. He's 8.3 million. His form is 0.7. There's no good reason to back him on form, but it's just knowing that his performances, I think, are actually good all around.
Bruno Same Fernandes. As Gordon's. I thought Gordon was really good at the weekend.
Gordon was good at the weekend. Bruno Fernandes, by the way, for big man, Bruno Fernandes had his best game of the season by a distance for me.
He did. I think he had 5 shots, but I looked at the average position map. Knowing Eric, you mentioned this about Ten Hag's now obsessed with Eriksen. Eriksen's playing the Bruno role. Bruno was more advanced. Sorry, Eriksen was more advanced than Bruno. The midfield 3, because Manu wasn't in there, it was like Casemiro, Shaw, holding. The number 8 was Bruno. The number 10 was Eriksen. And you're like, there's 4, 5 more advanced players on the football pitch, and he's the most expensive of the lot. Yeah. He's just not an FPL pick. But I was happy he got the 5 points.
Yeah. It's a strange one. But, we're basically doing the eye test here. We haven't teed it up. But, you're looking at players at the moment. Eze last night, there's such fine margins between being deemed a success and a failure. True. Because your stats just aren't reflecting it. But if you're watching all of these games and you're seeing how close they are to contributions, it's like a hair away sometimes.
Eze's a baller, isn't he?
He's such a good player, mate.
I'm glad Dylan's got him from my team. I'd love him at Chelsea. Eze should not be playing Crystal Palace level football.
I mean, he wouldn't be if Steve Parish will need a ridiculous amount of money up front for Eze, 50 odd million pounds up front, and no one was going to do that in the end last summer. But Eze should be playing in a top 6 team. I mean, Palace are obviously struggling now this season, and I wonder about not only Eze, but I wonder about Adam Wharton. Yeah. I wonder about where this team actually can go and whether Glasner can turn it around. It's a tricky situation they found themselves in now.
Have you written a story? I saw Give Me Sport have. I don't know if it was you or not, but linking Southgate with Palace. What do you know about that? What do you make of that? I just saw that about an hour ago and was like, I wonder if that's one of Dean's. But
no. Southgate doesn't want to return to football at the moment. He's having a year out, so he's not.
Yeah, but did he not just say that because he knew United weren't interested in him?
I mean, what I would say is, why would Southgate take that job right now? What's he going to do? Take them down?
He'd be lucky to get it. I don't think Southgate's good enough for Palace.
Obviously, he was a Palace legend as a player, but if he goes into club football, he wants a good. He's been England manager. Right?
He wants European football, doesn't he? He'd want Europa League at worst.
I just don't see, if they did make the decision to get rid of Glasner, why Southgate would take that job. There would be a very real chance that he'd take that job and take him down, and he absolutely can't do that. That's not worth the risk as far as I'm concerned. You're risking your legacy to the club, and you're also risking your future career. So I think he has to be extremely careful with that.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Other big headlines from the weekend, Dean, let's just touch on Fulham Villa, because Raul Jimenez again, and again, a bit like the Newcastle game, I thought Fulham were the better team. Again, if you go off at XG plots and you look at the swings of the game, you score the penalty and it's game over. But I mean, talk us through it, because Smith Rowe again an option or not?
And less of an option. Yeah, it's becoming less of an option. Jimenez nailed for now. I still don't know exactly how much we can trust the consistency. I know I've said this for 4 weeks now, and he continues to score. I was disappointed he wasn't on the penalty. It was such a poor penalty as well from Andreas, but I thought Raul would have been on that. Maybe he is on the next one. Maybe that's one thing that you could say. I can't imagine Andreas takes the next one. So there's that to go for. Raul looks like one of the best bargain picks for your third striker at the moment. And I think with the fixtures that Fulham have got at the moment, I'd feel quite confident going there. I mean, we're playing, we've got such a consistency about our level of performance at the moment that I think it's pretty trustworthy that Fulham will get through the next month with good output. Everton, Brentford, Crystal Palace, Wolves is a really good run of fixtures for Fulham. And Raul Jimenez, as it stands, would expect that he's starting all of those matches. So, yeah, I think Raul is a good place to be going there. He's feeling good at the moment. Repent Master says, bought Jimenez at 5.6, will keep him long term. Yeah, that's a good bargain buy.
It's a great buy.
Yeah,
it's a great buy. No one saw Jimenez getting into the 11 after only 3-4 game weeks. A fair play. That's why FPL priced him so low. Like, he was priced as a backup forward.
He's a better forward than Muniz. Like, he's a better player than Muniz, but obviously, like, Raul's had his problems ever since his head injury in terms of consistency and form.
Yeah.
And I just don't think we really knew when we'd be getting back to that. Like, you know, this weekend he's going up against DCL, who everyone jumped on for their wild cards. I obviously had from the start of the season. Like, I mean, I don't really want him anymore. Like, not really seeing enough out. I guess
biggest of the weekend, 1.3.
Was it really?
Yeah. And I think Everton only had 1.5. Like, he's all of Everton's XG, but he just can't hit a barn door.
I just can't trust him. And like, I honestly thought you could. I thought if he played this many games in a row, I thought he would have a pretty good goal return, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't remember him ever being a bad finisher.
He's not a bad finisher.
He's not. I mean, Ancelotti called him his like Inzaghi. Like,
it doesn't really make any sense to me as to how he's come this far into the season with no injuries, starting, and he's got the potential to earn himself a big move because he's got this contract situation rumbling on. Look, I'll probably pay the price for this at the weekend. He'll score the winner against Fulham. So I've got to keep him in my fantasy team just for that.
Yeah, the fixtures are too good to sell, but at some point we're going to run out of patience. I mean, there's another budget forward here that we haven't touched on, who, since Nuno has been at Wolves, only Haaland and Palmer have scored more goals in those 26 games, I think, than Chris Wood. Since, like, literally, Chris Wood's been a machine. I think he's 7-9 in the Premier League at the moment. But his record since Nuno's been in, no one's been more prolific than Haaland and Palmer. It's insane.
Absolutely. Yeah, a few have asked in the chat today about Wood. Michael's asking about Welbeck right now. Obviously, him getting injuries isn't ideal, but Welbeck's definitely been somebody that we probably should have taken more seriously. Wood, we definitely need to take seriously. Yeah, I mean, he's not a great footballer. I'm going to stand by it. Like, he's not a great footballer, but he is a great finisher. In that Nottingham Forest team at the moment, it's just working so well. They're having an unbelievable season for us. 8th in the table at the moment. Continuing to be very resolute at the back, and they're keeping the clean sheets. Next couple of games are Leicester and West Ham. So definite reasons to believe that Nottingham Forest can produce results in those games. Won't be a load of goals in it, but Chris Wood will probably get the ones that matter. So, yeah, interesting. We were talking to our producer before we came on, and he's got Elanga, and he was like, I didn't realise that they don't actually pass to him. He's like, I was like, Elanga's so fast, he's so dangerous. And you watch them, they're like, oh, they don't actually give him the ball. It's a bit of a problem, that one.
He is really fast. You know, like we've been seeing the rounds of like top kilometers per hour, and everyone knows it's what's his name? Dutch centre back at Spurs.
Van der Ven, yeah.
Van der Ven. Elanga was like 2nd or 3rd in the league so far this season. I didn't realise how rapid Elanga was.
He is so fast, mate. Yeah, he really is.
Yeah. By the way, in that same game on Monday night, I needed Matt Sells to save my game week. Like, I was dead and buried, and I still had a bad game week, but we'll see our teams in a second. But Matt Sells, arguably the best 4.5 keeper. Like, he's second game in a row, he's made 7 saves. He got the 3 bonus points and the clean sheet. What we're noticing about bonus points this season, though, this is really interesting. Since they've changed the grading a little bit in a few areas, you now get minus as a defender or a goalkeeper every time you concede a goal. So it used to be that a goalkeeper could pull off 7 saves against Chelsea for Forest in game week 7, Matt Sells. 7 saves, concedes 1 goal in a 1-1 draw. You'd expect him to get bonus. Matt Sells got no bonus because he conceded, and therefore his BPS shot down by conceding that 1 goal. But make 7 saves Monday night, keep a clean sheet, and you're banking on those 3 bonus.
Wow.
So it was a big difference between like the 7 and 8. 7 saves in both, no bonus in one, 3 in another.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Well. And he's outbeaten the popular choice of Mark Flecken.
Yeah. I didn't think we'd get back to the stage where we could even consider cheap goalkeepers based on the first few weeks of the season. So at least that's promising that you can do that. That is good. Do you know that you and Big Man have got exactly the same rank at the moment?
Mate, we did have 2 weeks ago as well. Like, and then there was a point between us last week. We've got very different looking teams as well.
completely level on points, you two right now.
Very different teams. Like fair play. Big man went Son early. He sold Saka for Son, I think. So he'll be devastated with that assist. The assist was taken off Son, and with that, his bonus points
Lost his bonus as well. Yeah, I mean that is a killer.
That is a killer, and he played so well. Like Son owners should feel unlucky.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I'm not that far ahead of you two now because I've been having a bit of a bad week. Yeah, so
still top of our mini league, though, aren't you?
Top of the mini league. I've got that wild card to use at some point, but it doesn't really matter if I've got it. It's using it properly, isn't it? That's the issue with it, and I don't really know what to do with it for now. I'm just letting my kid take care of my team. What's your rank, Dean? Says FPL Freddy. I don't know, mate. Let me actually find that out right now because
you must be. I'm going to completely guess. I reckon you're at 690k.
I don't think even that high anymore, mate. 820k.
Mate, to be in the top million, I think you're right.
That's what we're deeming as a success these days.
My rank starts with a 3 and ends in a million. So
that's wild, though, isn't it? There's only about 40 points between us. Yeah, Dean, you can use that wildcard this week and you can remove that -4. Yeah.
It's a good -4, though, to be fair. Buonanotte is 5 million. He's getting 90 minutes. He's paying his second striker. Leicester got good fixtures. Buonanotte is a great pick in that budget midfield pick.
Yeah, Dylan had clearly heard me like I was crowing over him in that performance. It's the first -4 I've taken this season.
Is it? Yeah.
It's a bit easier to take on that front. Like, it's okay. Get Visser in on wildcard. I'm not wildcarding.
Oh, yeah. Visser's back, isn't he? Good shot, though, Gucci. Like, he played 30, I think he came on for half an hour. Yeah. And I do feel like Visser was, before he got injured, he was flying. And I think Tony going was just such a big move for Visser's confidence. And I like Visser as an option.
How much is Visser these days?
Oh, cheap. He's probably sick. There's so many good budget forwards. Like we've just spoken about so many of them. Like Chris Wood, we can't get in.
Yeah.
He's flying. Yeah, I'm just looking up Visser's price now. Yeah, it's 5.9.
Yeah.
5.9. 24 minutes the
weekend.
That is
very cheap.
And he's got Ipswich at home. What an entry point. If we think he's going to start.
Buy, isn't it?
Ipswich at home. Like Brentford are going to... I mean, isn't Burmo a legit captaincy option this week? If you don't know Haaland, I guess he is.
Didn't have Haaland at home to Southampton, then I guess he would be. Chris says Sells moved him up 700,000 places last night.
Wow.
That's wild. That's how tight this all is at the moment, right? Like it's crazy. Like I've got a friend of mine who in our mini league, my other mini league, he is, how many points is he ahead of me? He's 38 points ahead of me. And he sent in his rank this morning on our chat because he was like, "Oh, are you sure you don't want me to come on your show?" Like, I was like, "Why? How well are you actually doing?" He's like, "Oh, I'm kind of flying at the moment." He is 70,000 overall, and he's only like 30. Yeah, whatever I said, 38 points ahead of me. So there's that gap from him to me is pretty similar to the gap from me to you. You're at 3 million. I'm at 800,000, and he's in the top 70,000. Like,
yeah, that's crazy.
You know,
you just need that one mental week where all your players return, and sometimes you get them. I remember last year I had 1 week where I went from the millions to like 100k, and it was just every week, every season. I think you get one of those weeks. Unfortunately, I've not had mine yet, so long may that continue.
Yeah, no, that's the thing, and that's why like sometimes just not tinkering and just leaving it will work because 1 week. It will all come together. You might get a 40 point week, but if you stick with it and they all hit form the next week, you're looking at an 80 point week, and suddenly you've made up the gap that you lost.
If I hadn't made 3 transfers this week, I'd still have I'd have 4 free transfers, and I would have had Mikalenko 7 points. Because of my transfers, it meant Mikalenko was further down my bench, and then it's just one, So yeah, often patience is rewarded in FPL, which is why we're still holding Dominic Calvert-Lewin, I guess. Guys, we'll have a look at our points. We can see where we're at in terms of our teams. We've spoken about them, but let's show you them, and we'll talk a little bit about what we're thinking we might do. Dean, you're up first. 34 points. It was one of your weaker game weeks of the season. Obviously, Saka was out. You were considering selling Eze. you have now, but you ended up rolling the transfer, I guess.
Yeah, rolled the transfer. Yeah, so I got away with Dylan tinkering my team. If you didn't hear at the start of the show, my 6-year-old son has gone into my app and made 3 transfers for the next game week from this team that you can see. So Eze no longer plays for me, nor does Saka, neither does Irogbunam. And I now have Buonanotte, Palmer, and Dibbling. But yeah, it was a really disappointing game week. Like, obviously, like everyone will be saying that pretty much this week, but it's just so annoying. I mean, it started with Spurs, to be honest. Like, the Spurs game, San Diego time, kicked off at 4:30 a.m. So I do sometimes get up for the early game, but that one I was like, nah. We were out Friday night. I was like, I'm not getting up at 4:30. So I woke up like just before 7 for the main games.
Yeah.
And I saw that Spurs had scored 4. And I was like, yes, come on. Porro and Solanke must be doing well. So before I even like looked at the actual scorers on the app, I opened up my FPL to see how many points I had. And they had a 2 and a 2. And I was like, this is a bad start to the day. How have neither of these players returned from scoring 4 goals at home?
Yeah.
So wasn't really happy with that. And yeah, just the trend just continued throughout the weekend, really.
It was a low scoring. I mean, Mo Salah really
just dug me out. Yeah,
that's huge. He got as many points as the rest of your team. 12. Such a nice differential. It feels like in terms of engaged managers, or certainly the content creators, like
yeah.
Mo Salah's barely owned. Okay, nice. Well, we'll see your team on Friday where you'll lock in. Let's have a look at my team this weekend. I did get Sells, who kind of saved me. Like Salah saved you. Sells was an unlikely hero, not going to lie. I think the average this week was 36, so I was 1 up on the average, so it's like a grey arrow. But Foden's late assist, I was gutted when Foden didn't start. Like, that was heartbreaking, especially because so many that did sell Saka ended up going Son, and Son was obviously on for big points. So Foden gets the assist. His corners were way better than City's corners before he was on the pitch. That Stones header was great, but Foden really did put it on a sixpence. And then, Solanke's 2 points. So what do you make of that? Because he was doing his best Bobby Firmino impression. He was getting on the ball on the halfway line and feeding the wingers. And Brennan and Son got a lot of love. And Brennan could have scored. Like, he had 5 shots. At other times, Solanke will be the fox in the box, I guess. But the way the game was flowing and what he was being asked to do in terms of hold up and feeding others, he didn't have the average position that we wanted him to.
He didn't, no, but you know that typically like Solanke is a follow-up striker in terms of like he will go and pick up the bits and pieces from Son having a shot, Johnson having a shot, Kulusevski having a shot, comes back off the post, comes back off the keeper, hits a defender, Solanke will be there to eat it up.
True.
So across the games that are to come, Crystal Palace, Aston Villa and Ipswich are the next 3 for Tottenham. I still do have a reasonable amount of confidence that Solanke will be worth sticking with through that period. Solanke's only 13% owned, which is really surprising, I think. Considering like the potential of this Tottenham team, and that if it all does start clicking on a regular basis, he's surely going to be among the points every single week. So yeah, 7.7 mil. I'm quite happy to keep the faith in him.
Yeah, I think I've got. You just got to believe in the fixtures. And again, Spurs have got one of those. I think they've got Ipswich at home in Gameweek 11. That's such a good fixture, not only for Son, but surely if Solanke is ever going to get a hat trick. Who do you reckon will be on pens? Let's do a poll. Who's going to be on Spurs penalties? We still don't know the answer. It's going to be Solanke or Son.
It's going to be Son.
Big man reckons Solanke. I think Son.
I think Son.
You reckon? Yeah. Big man's take is interesting because he says, and he makes a valid point, Son's the type of guy that would be on pens, but maybe would give them to someone else. And he did for South Korea recently give, it might have been Hwang, I can't remember. He gave them the ball to be like, you can take the pen. But I think knowing Kane has now left, Son stepped into that sort of captain leader role and talisman. And yes, I'm now on penalties because Harry Kane's gone. I don't see him giving them to the younger, not as good Solanke.
Yeah, I would just be amazed if Son doesn't step up the next time Tottenham get a penalty. It would just make no sense to me that Son he's just so reliable.
Yeah,
I just trust his mentality more. Like, so don't get me wrong, like Solanke's a good pen taker. Like,
their records are similar, I think.
But it's Son. Like Gunnar says, it's Son for sure. Why would it be Solanke? It's like
it's a good point. I hadn't questioned it until I'd seen loads of discussion on Twitter.
He is the penalty.
Of course,
he is the penalty taker, isn't he? Like he is.
Yeah.
He's Tottenham's penalty taker. So
we haven't seen a pen when they've both been on the pitch, but yeah,
I just don't see why that would have changed. Like Son's back now. Fast says Son will keep pens. There is barely no chance he loses them, and I agree with that. Like if they're maybe 4-0 up and Solanke's on a hat trick, if he scores it, then maybe Son's like, here you go, mate, go and get your hat trick. But if it's a tight game, whatever, Son's going to step up and take it.
Yeah, exactly. I like that. My plans are very simple. I'm using a transfer. I am selling Saka. I still don't know if I'm buying Palmer or Son. I think it's going to be Son, and I think I move to Palmer in a couple of weeks. Is this big man backer we're talking about, says Tranquil? Where have you been? Yes. He's a regular co-host on the show. You'll see Big Man tomorrow on this channel. Hey, look, maybe Tranquil. I'm guessing you're fairly new around here. You're not subscribed. So if you're not, and you fancy hitting that subscribe button, to anyone out there watching tonight for the first time, or you've been watching for a while but haven't yet got round to it, do hit that subscribe button. We would love it if you do. And if you haven't and you don't want to, that's also cool. But maybe you could hit the like button, because that really boosts the algorithm and the show gets seen by more people, blah, 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 blah. If you just simply hit the like. So thank you, team.
Yeah,
should we do bonus beasts? I think we got a little bit on bonus beasts. I think we've spoken about some of these players already, but let's have a look.
Let's do it.
Here we go.
Can you hear how loud the trucks are, by the way, when they go past down here?
Yeah, they're massive.
They're massive, mate. The garbage trucks, as they obviously call them out here. They are so noisy.
Did you put the trash out?
Basically, there's a hospital just over the road, and like this is where they drive in to collect every day. They come to collect all the rubbish from the hospital. And it's always while I'm recording. And they are so noisy. They have that huge piece of metal that comes across the top, picks up the entire bin, pulls it up in the air, dumps it in the top, has this alarm going off at the same time. You see metal crunching. They're the loudest engines. And it's just across there about 40 yards. So that's why you hear it so often.
Nice, but it's not off-putting loud, by the way. It's sort of subtle.
You can just hear it. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Sales' next fixtures are good. 3% owned, 7 saves, 5 inside the box, 38 touches. Like, he doesn't have 9 key passes. No, that's wrong. That's definitely wrong. In fact, I reckon 38 touches is wrong as well. Well, anyway, interesting to know. The big thing here is you keep a clean sheet, you get saves, and it's a low-scoring game. That's the key. If it's a 4-0, you might not get the the goal scorers get the bonus. Bonus is you're up against your teammates as well as the opposition. Unfortunately, Nottingham Forest don't score many. And if you're up against the defenders, well, the defenders don't have huge upside either. So look, Murillo got bonus. Chris Wood got 1, Murillo 2, Sales clearly with the 3. We'll move away from Sales though. I want to know who's got the 9 key passes, and I don't know if that's someone else. I don't think many players get 9 key passes ever. Like, I bet De Bruyne doesn't get 9 key passes.
He's out passing De Bruyne.
Here we go. Garnacho did well. He got 2 key passes, and I think that's accurate. 0.39 XG. He's a dribbler, Garnacho. That helps you in the bonus. He also shoots a lot, and you now get BPS for a shot on target. You didn't last year. So Bruno, I think, had something like 5 shots, 4 on target. So each time he's getting +2 for those 4 on target. That's really nice, an extra 8 BPS. Oh, thanks, Rune. She's subscribed. A few of you, I think, have hit that button, so I appreciate that. I genuinely think Garnacho is an option, Dean. He's the only Man United player I go near.
I agree. I was thinking this actually when we were coming in to the show, thinking like, who would be my like quirky picks if we would start talking about him? And Garnacho is the one. Like the fact he's got to play in his favourite position as well.
Yeah, so much better on the left.
He's so much better. Like, I don't know what this means for Rashford. I don't know what happens with Rashford, but finally, Ten Hag's just putting Garnacho in his best position. And if you put Garnacho out for 10 games on the left or Rashford out for 10 games on the left, you will get better returns, in my opinion, from Garnacho. I think it will help the team. Højlund back now as well. Like, I just thought United looked way better. I'm not convinced about the win for Man United because
nor me.
The problem is every single time they have these things, they're moments, right? And it continues to be the case. Ten Hag afterwards, like, what inspired the win? Injustice. Oh, okay. Well, that's not something you can replicate ever again. Like I thought you were going to say you came up with some tactical plan at half time. No, we just felt like we were hard done by. Oh, well, there's absolutely no way that's going to work next weekend. So I don't know what it really means, whether United can reproduce that second half performance again, because the first half wasn't that good, to be honest. Like, in parts, it was fine. It was a bit boring, as we often see with Man United. But Garnacho, yeah, he's doing well, and I would assume he keeps his place. I mean, I can't be sure about it, but surely he's going to.
You have to start him every week on the left, I think. But I mean, who knows with Ten Hag? He has these fads. But I mean, it was as solid a performance as perhaps we've seen from United against good opposition. Like, they limited Brentford to 0.8 XG. It wasn't impressive, but it was good enough. But you still question it moving forward. You don't go, oh, they've turned a corner. It's still Man United under Erik Ten Hag. Like, I've got no confidence in them long term, but we need to see 4 or 5 games like this to build trust. But I guess at 6.2 million, you could take a gamble. And fair play to FPL Chai. He did punt Garnacho in, got 10 points from him. So very good management there from one of our chasers. Okay, we've got one more bonus piece to show you, I think.
Wonder how the Chasers team would have got on this season. Imagine if we were still doing that. I think that'd be
so much fun on a Friday, wasn't it? it was chaos.
It was just chaos for like half hour of the show while we picked the team, wasn't it?
Our producer hated it. He hated it.
Wasn't it his idea?
Yeah, I think it was.
My idea.
Like, oh, we've committed to it for a season now.
No, we haven't. We're ditching it.
He said that was brilliant. When he was like, "Should we bin it for next season?" I think. Oh no, we binned it 2/3 in the way in. I think we all agreed. I think the chat agreed as well.
Yeah.
Strand Larsen got a mention in the chat earlier, so I'm glad we've been able to show you this. Did nothing like against Man City, the number 9 is never going to get lots of touches. So 19 touches and only 4 accurate passes. That's not uncommon for a number 9 versus Man City. You just don't get the ball. But fair play, because he took his chance. And I reckon, and Dean, you'll know more about it than I do, but I reckon knowing his price point and knowing the Wolves fixtures, Cunha, sure, if you've got the money, but Cunha's 6.5. Strand Larsen will match Cunha possibly for goals, maybe not for overall points because he doesn't come with the creativity or perhaps the explosiveness. But Strand Larsen's a good option. Like, again, it's a budget forward that looks all right.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, he's there's big hopes for what he could become, and he's like 24 now, and I think he actually like. It's somewhat surprising that he hasn't had a bigger lift off in his career than where he is now. But Wolves did well to get him. I don't know that they'll get him long term or not, but certainly the way that he's taken to the Premier League, I've been quite impressed by. Jack, who I do Ranks FC with, loves Strand Larsen, and he's watched.
Does he?
Yeah, he's watched loads of him, and he's like, no, Strand Larsen will be good. He will be good. You just got to persist with it. And yeah, it's really is an impressive player. Norwegian as well, so he's got he's got time to work with Haaland on his finishing as well every month at this rate, or to get international breaks. So yeah, Chris says he was the best Norwegian striker on the pitch. Yeah, exactly. Haaland going missing for a couple of weeks, and Strand Larsen's the man.
How much did they pay for him? I'm just googling.
He's on loan, I think.
He's on loan, but I think his value is.
I don't know what the clause.
Oh, there's a loan fee for 3 million, I think. But why am I saying 25? Maybe that's his transfer market value. Market value is 25. Sure. Yeah, okay. But yeah, there's a loan fee of 3 million.
Yeah. There is like I don't know what the clause was on him. Whether there is an obligation or an option, that is 25 million.
Yes. Okay.
So maybe that's what will turn it into it.
Yeah. Celta Vigo paid 12
option
million
to buy. Yeah, Brian says. Yeah. So
a couple of years ago, paid 12 million Celta.
Yeah, but as I say, like that's not bad value. Like if you can get someone regularly scoring and he's starting to show that he can do that, then it's he's looking like a good player to have in there, especially if he's playing against Man City and getting 3 bonus points.
Yeah. One of our favourites, Shiraz, our chasers in the chat. Please talk about Mbeumo as a serious captaincy option this week. I'd love to do that, but I'd be giving you content just to fill airtime. Like, I think Mbeumo is a good option And I think he's probably the guy I would captain if I didn't own Haaland. But if you own Haaland at Southampton away home, like I think the main discussion around captaincy this week is probably, do you triple captain Haaland? Like,
yeah.
So I can't. I'm sorry, Shiraz. If you feel it though, backing against Haaland,
it feels like self-sabotage to me. You know, it's a very dangerous game to play. If you really are just playing this game for fun and you're like just looking to try something because you're just not convinced on the Haaland thing, then absolutely go for it. But you've just got to beware that could be very harmful if Haaland does well, because people will triple captain Haaland this week. There's no doubt about that, and you will lose a lot of rank. Yeah.
And there's weeks like you look at the ceiling of these players. Has Mbeumo ever even got a hat trick at Brentford? Like, who's got the hat trick potential? Clearly, Haaland has the higher hat trick potential. Like, when do you see Mbeumo scoring even more than one? Like, that's quite rare. Haaland's hat tricks for fun. He's breaking all sorts of records. Hey, Eddie in the chat. Sakabone now, hold DCL. 4 free transfers. I mean, I'd still hold DCL though. I won't answer the rest of that question, Eddie, but we'll speak later in the week, no doubt. But yeah,
I don't think the transfer's a bad idea. What he was proposing, I think, actually was quite a good idea. I'd be tempted by that one, Eddie. Yeah,
I'd be selling Luis Diaz. I just think it's a coin toss. Like, yes, he could come in and start, but it's too
against
risky.
The obvious. I was right.
Yeah,
against the obvious. That. When I saw it, I was like, yes, I knew it. I was right. Thanks.
Yeah. Was mine Son?
I can't remember who you picked.
Can't remember who I did. Someone did. There we go. Guys, thank you so much for watching. We're going to be back tomorrow. I think me and Big Man, me and Dean will be back on Friday. There's loads to look forward to this week. We'll be reacting to all the Champions League stuff as well. Remember, all of our teams in the Big Four are playing, or last season's top 4 are playing Champions League football. So we'll get snippets. We'll get more from Arteta post-match tonight as well. So stay tuned for that. But on your way out, do one thing, 2 things, 3 things. If you're just joining, go and watch the last hour. That's number 1. If you've watched and enjoyed, hit the like button. If you're watching and you're not already, hit that subscribe button. But for now, he's been Dean, I've been Gianni, and we've been chasing green arrows.